Hello, somebody, nobody, anybody, whoever may never see this. This is Siegfried Alexander Faust, the Whiff, come back at you with some more Warhammer 40k. This time I'll be showing off my Tyranid army from the upcoming past changes now, of the Data Slate update, nerfing the Crusher Stampede and the Leviathan tendril detachment of Tyranids. So now this is going to be a Jormungandr. I was originally going to do a Leviathan, and while I respected the HQ damage output from Crusher Stampede, and if you want to see what I'm talking about, highly recommend you check out Ospez Tactics, great channel, and he goes over the pretty good uh, damage output that a Hive Tyrant could do, or a Winged Hive Tyrant. Um, Without further ado, let's go over my 2,000 point Vanguard detachment of Jormungandr Tyranids. So, for this detachment, you're going to have a Hive Tyrant. Now, not all these models are correct. I'm going to go over the list for my Battlescribe data because, unfortunately, the great community people have not updated everything. But this is the correct color for Jormungandr, I believe. I could be mistaken. This could be Leviathan. It's one of the two. But you're going to get... I have a very beefy melee Hive Tyrant, and I believe this is actually going to be the correct model. And I think the main reason I like the regular over the winged, because the winged is pretty cool looking and good, is just because he's T8. That's it. It just makes him a bit beefier. Melta's wound on 4s. Um, and then Jormungandr, which I'll go over in a bit, is going to basically give most of my army dents most of the time. So that'll make it a bit more survivable as well. So high invuls and dents and a lot of mortals, which is going to be the same as Leviathan. The Neurothrope, which will improve my psychic and allow me to take a thing of Zoans as non-force orc slot. They basically look the same. It's just that he actually has like a little brain tail spine, unlike the rest. Me. The Death Leaper. Oh boy. If your opponent has something weak holding their back line, just their single objective, they're just like servitors or something like a breacher squad, drones, what have you, something weak, this guy will ruin their day. Um, you just send him into Narnia, and worst case scenario, he's engage. He's gonna score you engage. Just deep strike, little tanky. Well, he's tanky for its point cost. It's a very good investment for his point cost. He is a character elite, and this spore mine is because I have a harpy. So this doesn't count towards your point cost, but when they get everything available to be yellow scribe completely from battle scribe, you're gonna want to include a spore mine so you can just copy paste or bring spore mines if you run this attachment IRL. Um, if your harpy's effect ever triggers. I have 3 Maleceptors. Boop. And these guys are tanky. It's very monster heavy focused, and they do a nutty amount of psychic. So the big Tyranid changes between the Maleceptors and the Zoans let them do far more mortal wounds, and the Neurothrope just makes it even more efficient. Um, unless you have really bad RNG, you're getting consistent mortal wound spam. I'd say one of the better armies to play against them is the Sisters with the 5-up deny, army wide, because otherwise they're just your army's taking so many mortals. It's dumb. It's so dumb for how tanky this is. And then I have a harpy. I don't know. I think this is the older model. I didn't because I updated and changed my list. So this should have a venom. And again, I'll go over everything. Yeah. 3 groups of 3 Zoanthropes. Now, you could run up to the magic number 5 and then work, but the thing is that their mortal wound additional cap is hard capped at 3, and then from there on, every Zoans you bring will continue to increase the psychic test. So if I roll an 8, they get me plus 3. So my 8 becomes an 11, it's a crit. It's a super smite. But even if it wasn't, I'm going to get 3 mortal wounds on top of that. So you can with 4 or 5. So with 5, you could roll a 6, and your 6 is now a super smite. What I don't like is, again, the mortal wound is capped, which, if it wasn't, that'd be stupid. Oh my god, that'd be worse than the whole Maleceptor issue and Leviathan. Ew. Uh, but your super smite, yeah, you got a super smite. Congrats. And then you roll a 1. Bum bum ba You know, so it feels bad man moment. I'm a little plugged up with my nose, sorry. So yeah, you with 3 you get their max efficiency as long as you can hide them hopefully behind obscuring and then float them over because they're flying infantry past terrain and then get their mortals in. If your opponent targets them, that's a feels bad, but the thing is they do have a 4-up invul. So hopefully they should be able to soak. They should be able to hopefully soak. 3 Tyrant Guards. Because of the changes, they're very good now because they can actually straight up guard the Hive Tyrant. They give him bodyguard. And if your opponent really wants to bring a sniper and attempt to plink down the Hive Tyrant, good luck. My hat off to them. I hope it works out. Because it will not. So these guys will just make it so your opponent is not allowed to target him, and just let him march up the board turn 1, turn 2, which is very much needed, especially with my melee build. I need him to be able to get up the board. Now, a change my list or something to be aware of: exocrines. Exocrines, my previous Tyranid army. You know what? Let me load them in. Was disgusting Hive Guard Impaler spam. And exocrines in this army were good because it was the shooty focused army. I, for the life of me, can never remember what it was. It was Kraken or Kronos or whatever. But now, exocrines are just really good in general. It is worth considering bringing 3 of these dudes. 3 dudes. Now the thing is though, and I would have actually loved to get rid of a Maleceptor and bring an exocrine. Easy trade. I already have 2. I'm good with that. However, this is a Vanguard attachment. So what I could do is take 1 less Maleceptor and then pay 2 CP to bring another exocrine. But I don't feel like that expenditure is as worth it. That's up for a player decision as an executive decision. I think it's at least worth considering. Um, it's not like the Maleceptor is a bad unit though for everything it could do. So, at it feels like because it's not a bad unit. Neither of them are bad. It's an overall net loss. But the exocrine is very nasty. And then let me just scroll over here. There's a better look at some of the models when they're not all clumped up. So, Jormungandr tunnel networks. Each time a ranged attack targets a monster unit with its adaptation, if the attacker is more than 18 inches away, which unless they're Harlequin turn 1, they will be for the most part, the target is treated as having the benefits of dense cover. And then for a monster, if you're not a monster, then it's 12 inches away, even more guaranteed. So, 3 Maleceptors, monsters. 2 Exocrines, monsters. 1 Harpy, monster. The Hive Tyrant, even though you have Tyrant Guard, monster. And then all of these guys get the 12 inches. So that is very good. And then furthermore, if you really wanted, you might get a map with some dents. If they have Tau shooting, then and you're scared of your big bad monsters getting destroyed by a railgun beam, if you can put them on dents, oh my god. Unfortunately, it will not stack because it is dense cover. It's not just a -1, but it is some nasty. So the list is a Hive Tyrant, Neurothrope, Death Leaper, 3 Maleceptors, 3 Zoans, 1 non-force sword, 1 Exocrine, 1 of them has Voracious Ammo, 1 Harpy with Heavy Venom, and then it has Dermic Symbiosis to get that good invul. And then 1 X3 Tyrant Guard, which again, non-force org because you have a Hive Tyrant. And then because it's a good option, you're going to use the Hyper Adaptive ability to get rid of the Jormungandr base adaptive trait, and take in a lurk. And for lurk, you're going to want unfeeling resistance. Models with this adaptation whose characteristic can change after they suffer damage. 3 Maleceptors, 2 exocrines, harpy, Hive Tyrant, all of those things. They count as having double the number of wounds for the purpose of determining what those characteristics are. So basically, you're going to have your models, all your monsters, drop to about 20% health before they're even bracketed almost. 20-25%, because until then, they're going to count as double. So, and even then, they count at 10% health. So basically, like 3 to 4 wounds, they count as their middle bracket. So they're always going to be decent. This is a big improvement to their efficiency. So, and the regular adaptive trait is just Garbo. So you don't it doesn't work for this army. Now, why do I build this army this way? Well, Leviathan was really good along with Crusher Stampede. I thought Leviathan was honestly better. Um, However, they are now banned for match play. So for Knockman. So within the options, you could still run a big troop of Tyranids. I mean, their warriors aren't bad. They've just improved a little bit of this, a little bit of that everywhere. I like me my T5s. A lot of stuff is T5 now, T5 and T8. But the mortal wounds are just too good to pass up. So without further ado, I'm going to hover here and just go over, unfortunately, to Battle Scribe. And again, I will just make sure my stuff is updated, but the links should be available for people to check out and grab this list. Oh, and then before I forget, because there's going to be so many changes, until Knights are out and for a good distance after that of time, I'm not going to be uploading a mod because I don't want to go through and constantly change things. So you're just gonna have to grab my battle scribe list and see if you can yellow scribe and some stuff like the Maleceptors for Tyranids and possibly other things, and some of the craft world units for Eldari, Elsuri cannot be yellow scribed correctly. Still, there's still the good people there are working on it. So Jormungandr, 2K strike, 4s, unfeeling resistance, lurk, all of that I went over. You're gonna pay 1 CP for Hive Predator to get an extra warlord trait, and you're gonna throw that bad boy onto your Neurothrope. Now, for the Zoanthropes, I took the just smite, and then they're going to come with the high fleet power of lurking maws, and then I gave all of my Zoanthropes psychic scream. Should never really matter because you're going to be doing smite, but in case they get near a psyker, something else. I didn't feel like also just going around giving them all different things because the point of them is only ever to smite. It'd be a very niche scenario for them to get anything else, and I think the only thing that'll fall into that category is Psychic Scream. For Hive Tyrant, I gave them sides of Tyron. So that's going to make their sides way better. So their melee is going to be Strength plus 2, so Strength 9, so you're getting over that T8. AP minus 4, which with goddamn Armor of Dominus you freaking need. And then flat damage 3, and then every time it attacks, it makes 2 more. Every time it fights, it makes 2 additional attacks with that weapon. I almost said something completely different. And I gave him Catalyst and Onslaught, and then Alien Cunning. Alien Cunning, so that way, wherever he is, he's going to be able to just count as extra. So, nice and nasty, he counts as, I think it's, yeah, so he gets OBSEC. It counts as 5 models. Which is just bloody great. And then if you really want, you can advance or fall back with him and still do an action. So you can rush him forward while still getting bodyguard from the Hive Guard, Hive Tyrant Guard, or whatever the heck. And then you're gonna be the Tyrant Guard, and still perform an action. So good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. And then I gave him the 2 monstrous scything talons and then the lash whip and monstrous bone sword. So with this, you're hitting on 2s, and then you're re-rolling hits of 1, and then you're freaking strength 9. You're probably gonna be wounding on 2s. And then unless I'm mistaken, I thought there was a way to buff it even more. Oh, yeah, here we go. Adrenal Glands. Increase your strength by 1 and your move, and he has toxin sacs. So Adrenal Glands, now your strength 10. So now, against all this T5 crap that's being introduced, you're still wounding on 2s. So hit on 2s, reroll 1s, wound on 2s, and each wound is a flat 3. And you're making, what is this? Without any other psychic buffs and crap, you're making 5 attacks plus an additional 2, so 7 attacks. You're clearing stuff off the field, probably. They're gonna need, if they have an invul, they're popping their invul. The Neurothrope. The Neurothrope, Power Smite, Jormungandr, Lurking Maws, Catalyst, and Onslaught. And then I gave them Insidious Threat for the War Dealer trait. So, you pick one unit within Synaptic Link, and then each time a model in that unit makes an attack, the target does not receive benefit of cover against that attack. And spoiler, I'm gonna do that on like the harpy, and so my opponent will not get cover, which is gonna be really good with the harpy's venom cannon, which already AP -3, which is gonna help this whole armor dominance bullcrap. Okay, so Death Leaper. It just is as is, because the only thing you can give it is Alien Cunning, so no. The Maleceptors. Okay, each Maleceptor is a little different. So they're all going to have Power Word Smite. And then, I didn't update this. One is going to have the Horror and Neuroparasite. The other is going to have Neuroparasite and Onslaught. And last is going to have Neuroparasite and Paraxium. Honestly, they're going to be doing Smite, probably. And then the other option would just be it doesn't matter. Now the only thing is because again the Zoans do that big smite. They have big smite energy, and they're gonna get a +3. And if you use your Zoans once per round once per game ability, they're gonna get another +1, so +4 to their cast. With that said, if you don't get the smite to manifest, then you don't get the extra mortals. So I consistently don't have this issue. It does pop up, but it is uncanny. Where your Maleceptors, if you smite with them early, your Zoans will smite later at a higher smite value to be able to manifest the smite, which means it's harder to get off. But if you get a low roll, you can also command reroll and still get another low roll. It does happen. So that is something to be aware of. But between Smite, Neuroparasite, your other option, and Lurking Maws, and they can do a psychic action. And the thing with the Maleceptors, which is nasty, is basically they have this other ability, which is that when they basically perform a psychic act, manifest something, including a psychic action, they will choose something within their radius, and depending on how many wounds the Maleceptor still has, they'll deal 1, 2, 3 mortal wounds to that thing as well. So they just have a nutty amount of things they can do. You can just use them to do psychic actions and crap. Like, it's so dumb. They're very efficient. Uh, let's see. So 2 exocrines, one's gonna have the voracious ammunition, and one harpy is gonna have Dimric symbiosis with heavy venom cannon. And then because of how the harpy works, you can, through its actions, possibly get another spore mine and just generate spore mines on the field as well. So this is a very shooty faction, and I'm back. In the sense of it's dealing range damage, but it's not ranged attacks because it is psychic based. And then you just march. You're basically just gonna have 3 Zoans, uh, 3 Zoans, and 3 Zoans. Maleceptor each. And your Harpy is just gonna zippity doo dah day over the field. But probably be able to still get your bonus, however you gotta do it, with your Neurothrope to make it so it can make your opponent not get the benefit of light cover, whatever it shoots at. You can have it shoot at a big tank, but I would recommend use it because of its loadout kit to kill some infantry because you have lots of mortal wounds. You will mortal wound their tanks instead. Death Leaper will zippity doo dah day into round 2, jump on your opponents, and then you just march forward with just this, basically. Everyone else can get ready for the round 2, round 3. The Maleceptors should always be leading the charge instead of the Zoans, because they're a juicier target for your opponent to just shoot at, and they're going to be T8, so they're going to be able to soak. I don't care what this says. They are T8. Am I crazy? I am not. Yep. Yeah, and you just will basically control the board. Worst case scenario is that you don't have a ton of staying power compared to some other armies. But that's fine because with the amount of damage you're going to do and pressure, you should control the game round 2, 3, and 4, possibly even 1. The 1 and the 4 are dependent on army, but even if 1 will take one or the other, they won't take both, depending on who the matchup is. And because none of these are vehicles, all the bonuses right now for like AdMech, some of the robot factions, aka whatever the hell, Knights, especially all the new Knights updates coming out, and Harlequins, all their haywire cannons. Nope, these are not vehicles. These are monsters. So just fleshies. So you don't have to worry about that. Uh, and while they have 4-up invuls, which is nice, you have mortal wounds. So neener. Yeah, this army should be very good. I still maintain that it's weaker than Leviathan, but it would have been basically the same list. I think I would have had like one less Maleceptor, an extra harpy. I forget what else. I think I got rid of the Death Leaper to make that happen, which gave me another Tyrant Guard as well. Yeah, without further ado, if you have any questions, advice, comments, criticism, complaints, I don't know, feel free to put it in the comment area, or if you have anything else you want to say, etc. Pretty easy going. Usually going to be available for matches. I have stuff coming up, and I'm sorry for the delay for my other video to this. There will be delays as people do. I have had mic issues, which have been very annoying. I even got a new mic, and it's not very good. So, okay, Sarah. Without further ado, I'm going to cut that there. If anyone wants to reach out to me, feel free. Yeah, take care.